Hi, welcome. So today we are going to look at for loops and while loops. We already looked at if and the other basic data structures. So it's time to look at the loops. I know at times these loops are confusing. So that's why I wanted us to look at the while and the for loop in the same video so that you can be able to see the distinction between the two and you know when to use which one. So let's just go straight away with the for loop and see what it looks like before moving on to the while loop. So I'll just write and then I'll be explaining as I go ahead. So I'll say for. Now, before going there, let's first create maybe a list of students or courses. Let's just say we create courses. So we can say a list of maybe maths. Then we have maybe chemistry. Then we have maybe physics. We have maybe biology. We have maybe history. And then let's just add geography. Okay, so when you have a list like this, imagine that you want to just a basic thing, print out each of these elements. Let's say you want to print out math, chemistry, physics, biology, history, geography. So you think, okay, we could just do it like this, maybe print math, print. If you know how to index, you could say print courses. The next one courses one. So let's just run this. So you see you're able to print your math, print your chemistry. So you'll be copying this and pasting. Next time you would say maybe print courses 2. So then you see that here a for loop will be able to help you, because if now I go on to write the for loop based on this courses list, let's just see for course in courses. Okay, I put colon and then I press enter. So remember, like we said in the if, there is this indent, and when you anything you do in this indent now, it will be considered like part of this for loop. If it's out of it like this, then the for loop will not know if maybe you continue writing more code later on, or it can't work, because the for loop will recognize it if it's in this, you indented it like this. So now let's look at this. So let me print course. Okay, so now let's run it and see. Okay, so you see now we have our courses printed. So you see maths, chemistry, physics, biology, history. So you see how a for loop could help run things for you faster, rather than that you were doing them manually. Imagine that this course list was made up of maybe 1,000 courses. You wouldn't start typing print. So you just say for the course in courses, print all the courses. And there's something we need to talk about. This course here, it must not be course. It could be A, it could be B, it could be anything. So we could say it is maybe a book. I just want to just call it book like that. But the only thing you need to do is to make sure you put book down here. For example, you put the same thing down here, then you run it. You see, you get your list out. So Python doesn't really try to interpret this like it could be books. Maybe you think it should only be in singular. It could be books still. You run it, then you get the same thing. So Python just cares about, okay, I know there's something called courses, which is a list of elements. So whatever you put here, I know you're trying to talk about each of them, each of them, each of them, each of them. So what should I do to the same each of them that you try to name here? Call it whatever name you want to call. So I just wanted us to be sure that we understand that like that. Okay, so that's fine then. Now we understand that. Let's move now to another method of for loop. So we could now say, let me take this off. So we could say for, now index in, I'm going to introduce a function now. We'll talk about that in a second. In range. So index in range, put maybe something like 6. I put my colon, then I press enter, and then I say print. Let me just print it out, and then you'd see what again. Remember, I have to put the same index down here. Whatever I put up here, I have to put the same thing down here. So I run it. Okay, what do I get? I get this. I get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, so actually it is printing. Since Python is a zero index language, it starts from 0 and it doesn't touch 6. So actually this is what it's doing. It is saying I am starting from 0, then I'm not touching 6, and I am printing each element there. So if you see here, when I run it, you see it gets the same thing of I start from 0, I end at 6, just end before 6, that's 5. But then now I know that I'm just moving steps one by one step. So what does this mean? This means that we could change this to say 2, and then we run it here, which means that now I'm starting from 0, and after every 2 I move, after every 2 I move. So okay, that is okay. Now you understand the range function. So now what if, let me just comment out this one now, comment out this one. Okay, so now what if now I want to get the length of courses, so I can say what is the length of courses. Let's just see. Now I run it, I see that okay, I have to print. When you're working with Jupyter notebooks, you don't need to print it, you will have the result. But when you're out of Jupyter notebooks, you always have to remember to print. So let's run that, let's do that. So when you print it, you get 6. So what if now instead of this 6 here, for example, I want to make this thing more flexible, I instead copy this, for example, copy, and then I paste here, so that I know that it is going to be 6. But then I want it to be in such a way that if tomorrow the length of these courses gets to 100, it will just always take the length of the courses and put it here. And if it's 10, if it's 50, so I make it now more flexible. So let us try that now and see how it's going to be. So let's take up these ones. Then we run this. See, fine, it works. So we have our 0, 2, 4, and then we could take off this one, put back 1 there, run it. Yes, we have, as we expected, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, fine. And then we could also take off this one as a short, just the short method of doing it, and run it again and see. So fine, we have the same thing. So now you see that that's why you could have the for loop the other way we did it, where we said for course, in courses, it prints out the maths, the chemistry, the physics, the biology, the history, geography. Or you could run it like this by saying for index in range, now length of courses. So now it just takes the length of the course list, whether it's 100 or 50, and then it prints now, but instead the indices. So you could now, for example, say use it now to do any operation you want. You could say, for example, print now courses. Again, remember now your slicing, indexing. I told you slicing was one of the most important things in Python. So let us run that one now and see. So now you see again, we come back to our maths, chemistry, physics, biology, history by running the for index in range length of courses. So I hope you understand the two ways, and in your programming journey, you would be using one or the other based on the problem you want to solve. Okay, so enough of that now. Let us go over to the while loop. How is the while loop different from that? So normally, let's take up this one. So I'll just start with the while loop. Usually initiate something, then we give a condition. So I'll just say, for example, I equals to maybe 5. Then I would say while I. Now I'll just bring my I'll just bring this my keyboard here, and I'll say while I less than, say 10. Okay, again my colon. So you see, while I less than 10, then I can say print, for example, I. Then now what I'm saying is that insofar as insofar as I is less than 10, print I. So what we expect is that as I is equal to 5, it's going to print I. Then normally we would always want this to move somehow when we are using our while statement. Say maybe I equals to now I plus maybe 1. So which means that the next time now I will move from 5 to 6 because I has added 1 here. I equals to I plus 1. So you move to 6. And if you see something like this, know that it is still the same thing as I equals to I plus 1. So don't be surprised when you see that we are just saying the same thing. But then let's leave it like that. We just say I plus 1. So let us run this and then we see what we get. So what do we get? We get our first 5. It started with 5. It checked here. It said, okay, this 5 is less than 10. It printed the 5. Then I moved to I plus 1, which is 6. It checked here and said this 6 is still less than 10. It printed the 6. Added 7. So that is what happened until when it reached 9. Then it said 9. It wanted to move to 10. So when we had add 10 here, when we add 9 plus 1 is 10, it says no, 10 is not less than 10. So it stopped. So let's just see something. Look at it. What if I tip this? Instead of it increasing, it was instead going down. Let us see how this while loop is going to behave. Just watch that. So let's see. You see, it keeps printing, and it would never stop. So this is a clear example of the difference between the for loop and the while loop, where the for loop, you have a condition for a certain period, let's say for this length of this list, or it stops after some certain iterations. But this while loop, insofar as this condition is not true, it will keep running like this. So just understand that this statement is for true. While I less than 10 is not true, it will keep running like this. So we have to stop it, else it will keep running forever. So I hope you now get a clear difference between the for loop and the while loop, and then you should be able to practice more and know when to use which one for which specific problem. So I hope you like this video. See you next video.